Hello beautifuls, welcome back to my Chanel. And welcome to the final episode of my coverage of Cycle 3 of America's Next Top Model. Beat. Or should I say Scandal Girls, because we're in for quite a treat today, my loves. Yes, we are.
Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god.
Can you tell a new Final Fantasy was released recently? Because I always look like this for a couple of weeks afterwards. So, my lovelies, you guys have been waiting eagerly and very patiently, might I add, for this video to go live on my Chanel. I did originally have it planned for December last year, but you know, life gets in the way. I was in New York, then it was Christmas, then I caught the plague, and now some other things are happening behind the scenes in my life that are requiring a lot of time and effort, shall we say. And what's the one thing I don't have a lot of spare at the moment? Time and effort.
I'm a professional woman.
So, welcome to the Where Are They Now of Cycle 3 of America's Next Top Scandal Girls. I feel like this specific series is where America's Next Top Model started to get that sort of balance between reality TV and, well, in fact, actually just sort of start to step into full reality TV land and manufacture drama and wig tea for the contestants having to go at each other and just create like a roller coaster of emotions throughout every single episode to keep you hooked to tune in next week. I feel like this is the first season we really see that happening in America's Next Top Model, but I'm very excited to start Cycle 4 very, very soon.
Have you all had fun?
Yeah! So without any further waffling, should we get straight into the information in today's video? I do want to say a massive, massive thank you to the people on the America's Next Top Model Reddit because they have done so much legwork in finding out what some of these contestants have been up to after the show. I also want to give allantm.com a huge shout out because people have uploaded the work that some of these contestants have done after the show to that forum. Incredible. Although I will say, because it's quite an old forum, there's not much etiquette in the comments about people, should we say? No, more on that later. Alrighty, my lovelies. So let's start with Magdalena Rivas. Eliminated first on the morning of the Jamaica photo shoot for the bikinis, which I don't even think is that bad. I mean, like, look at it. Obviously, she does have her hand kind of clawing from her knee, I suppose. But, like, I'm sure she had many other photos to choose from. And again, reality TV is going to reality TV. She actually had a small amount of print work after the show, but the only two examples I can find of this are from Vibe Vixen magazine in 2005 and for Elle Girl magazine, which is not dated, sadly. I do want to say, though, look at the mid-2000s fashion here. What do we have here? We've got a boho dress with ruffled brown leather boots. And why is she at the window? Nobody knows. What's out that window, I wonder? Death! So she now has a private Instagram, and at one point after the show she worked for a children's health non-profit organization in Dallas, Texas, and her IMDb page shows no further credits after her appearance on America's Next Top Model. Eliminated first but not forgotten, Magdalena. Next we have Leah Darrow, and she was the first contestant to be judged by the judges as like not carrying on in the competition, shall we say. I really struggle to like remember how she was eliminated on like what exact episode. I know that she was in the Jamaica photo shoot, but like, was it the same day as the Jamaica photo shoot? Bit like Magdalena? I'm not sure. Can't quite remember. It's been a long time. When was that? Last year sometime? March? I must cover more than one of these seasons every year. No. So if you remember, Leah didn't actually say like goodbye to all the other contestants after she was eliminated. And that kind of sparked a little bit of controversy with like the other contestants. They were a bit like, well, fine. However, after the show, she did find some success as a mainstream model, shall we say. She had a feature in FHM magazine alongside some other sort of more sort of like risque photo shoot, shall we say. However, I'm just going to put however in here. This is where her career decided to take quite the turn. She became a Catholic model, modeling for magazines such as The Catholic Weekly and Family Foundations. Yes, that's right. There is room in the industry for Catholic modeling. She then went on to university to study a master's in theology and has now become somewhat of a preacher. She also has a podcast called Do Something Beautiful, but she now mainly works as a life coach through her relationship with God and the Catholic Church. She does in fact have her own website called leahdarrow.com in which you can book her to publicly speak about Jesus at an event for you. This is part of her website, okay? Shall I read this quote to you, shall I? Okay. My driving force is to help you achieve your full potential. As women, we are more than what our culture says or dictates. My purpose is to motivate, inspire, and help you to become the woman God created you to be, not who the world says you should be. I am proud to be a wife, a mother, an entrepreneur, and a motivator in the name of Jesus. He heals, he redeems, and he makes us new. He sets us on a new path for him, and I am honored to have the opportunity to walk alongside you. And you can also see some various pictures here of her doing Jesus things. According to her IMDb page, she did actually appear in some other like TV series as well. One of them is called The Journey Home, which is an evangelical TV show about returning to the path of Jesus Christ and the spiritual journey towards the Catholic belief system. However, I am going to say that she has sparked some controversy with her pro-life stance. I'm just going to leave it on. She's very Jesus. She's very Jesus now. Very Jesus.
Jesus was a bottom.
Third to be eliminated was Julie Titus. If I remember correctly, she was eliminated on the Nivea ad campaign episode where they had to do like the beauty shots and there was some heavy retouching done post-production, which I thought like kind of ruined a lot of the photos because it took out some of the attitude in the eyes. I remember Kelly was heavily critiqued in this episode and the judges kept saying, oh my God, you just don't have any light in your eyes, but they'd edited out the light in her eyes. So, you know, whatever.
Is that tea?
Third eliminated, she did in fact admit to the judges that she wanted to use her modeling career to springboard her career as a fashion designer. And the judges were not at all happy about all that. So after the show, Julie actually ended up keeping quite a low profile. She did have some print work opportunities, and it says here for the Republic of Brown and the Ray Billion lookbook, but I just want to also point out this image here. Look at this businesswoman side boob activity going on here. We love to see it. Businesswoman boobies. Now, a lot of the contestants from this season have actually featured on Olvier Twixt's channel, where he has interviewed them about their experience on the show, after the show, and any like drama and tea spilt about like their experiences on the show, full stop. I would always recommend to have a little look-see at some of those interviews because some of them are so juicy. Julie does in fact have one, and I will link that video in the description box of this video, and I just want to paraphrase a little bit of what she said during that interview. So she did explain that sometime after the show, she went back to school and got a degree in apparel manufacturing management with a bachelor's in business management. We love to see a professional woman.
Businesswoman.
She then went on to work in trade shows and the wholesale side of fashion. She did, however, say that as she learned more about the industry, she had a realization that globalization has wrecked the industry and that it was wasteful. Is that wig tea? I feel like it might be wig tea.
I was gonna say, I love these small hairs on you. I really think you should like wear them more often.
I have some very strong opinions on globalization as a millennial who has tried to survive the job market through now 3 huge, well, 4 actually, should we say 4 huge revolutions to like the working world that just didn't happen in any time in history. We had the financial crash of 2008. We had the invention of computers and social media, which completely changed the landscape of the job sphere. We've had years of globalization, which means that companies can exploit cheap labor from other countries. And now we're just about to hit the AI revolution, which might mean that a lot of our jobs are redundant. Isn't that fun? Don't you just love that?
Hooray! Everyone's dead!
Don't you just love that? Every 3 to 5 years, there's something that just threatens the job industry. Love that. Can't get enough of it. So thankful. But that is pretty much everything that Julie Titus now has publicly available online. So, heavy topic, but let's move on. Now we have Christy Gromit, who arrived to the America's Next Top Model studio in her American flag prom dress that we can see. Isn't that gorgeous? And she was swiftly eliminated 4th. If I remember rightly, she was eliminated during the Lee Jeans photo shoot, which kind of did everyone dirty in that entire thing because none of these models had much experience like working in front of the camera at this time, and to do like a big group intense shot where everyone looked good at the same time, a big ask of like brand new models. And the comments of the episode of that video that I reacted to, people were not very fond of that photo shoot in the comments, should we just say. So after the show, Christy did have a chunk of success modeling for various independent photographers. And she also had a feature in Touch magazine, where apparently, now this is quite an interesting one, I couldn't find any like actual pictures of this either. Apparently she portrayed Miranda from Sex and the City during this photo shoot, which I find like weird. Like, if you're going to do a photo shoot based on Sex and the City, just get the actresses in? I don't know, maybe there was budget or something. But Sex and the City was so of the time. I remember the quizzes going around on Facebook being like, which Sex and the City heartthrob are you girls? Miranda.
Don't bother.
Not much else is known about Christy after the show, and she doesn't appear to have any public social media. As of right now, I have done a little bit of investigation, but I haven't been able to find anything extra. Next up, we have Jennifer Urlacher. Jennifer! If I remember correctly, Jennifer had quite a lot of heated moments, shall we say, with Eva, because she didn't really agree with Eva's attitude towards a lot of people on the show, and I think it generally, in that small household, kind of rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. Jennifer was one of them. She was eliminated 5th during that disco photo shoot weird situation that was just awful all round. An absolute neon nightmare photo shoot, of which there was a few in this cycle, it would seem. But after the show, she actually had quite a lot of success. She modelled for magic power boats, sex symbol jeans, hot boat, and fear. None of which I can find any photographic evidence for, which is kind of annoying because I would love to see what, like, hot boat is. What's hot boat?
Are you going to resign, Home Secretary?
Need to stop the boats.
Oh, hot boat. Hot boats in your local area? Caterpillars in my vagina?
What did you just say?
So Jennifer did in fact marry in 2016. She married a famous like ex-NFL player. I'm assuming this is like a really big deal in America because we don't have the NFL basically anywhere else except America or T. She married to Brian Urlacher in 2016, and their wedding was featured here on the cover of Sports Entertainment Today. As you can see, I mean, like, she looks gorgeous, doesn't she? She's got lots of long flowing blonde hair. I mean, this is a wedding photo shoot. She's going to have the glam on, isn't she? She looks stunning. They look very happy together. He looks particularly like a sportsman from America, doesn't he? Wedding issue, unforgettable celebrations of love. First look, rings that blings, 3 steps to the perfect union, girls. Do you just love magazines? Aren't they bonkers?
Very inclusive.
Strangely, her IMDb page does in fact say that she's going to be in an upcoming, like, movie. The film is called Silent Bark, and she's going to apparently play like a dog walker, just like in the park. The film is currently listed as like pre-production, which means I'm not entirely sure if it's going to be made or is being made or anything like that. But I just want to read to you the synopsis of what Silent Bark is. So we've got a young woman down on her luck gets a job at an animal hospital where she discovers seedy goings on. So keep your wigs peeled for Silent Bark, which may or may not be coming to screens near you in some point in the future.
Alrighty.
And that is pretty much all that is publicly available on Jennifer as of right now. Next up, we have Kelly Jacobs, aka Kelly Girls. Oh, I do love screaming that. I hope we get another Kelly later in the season so that I can also scream that again. Criticised for not absolutely gaping with personality at every single moment of this entire series. In the week 6 photo shoot, she fell into the bottom with Anne and was ultimately eliminated 6th. There was also a little bit of like criticism from the other contestants because Kelly came from money and that made her a little bit unrelatable to some of them, and it kind of created some situations that were a bit tough to watch because I don't really think you can blame people for having money, but money does odd things to people and makes people behave like kind of spiteful and stuff, so you know. But after the show, she has had quite a glittering career. She has been on the cover of Eminence magazine, as we can see here with the lovely book, Statistical Analysis, yes. Say it with words, age is not a factor. Do you know where your career is? No. Magazines, they just... What even are magazines? What even are they? And I've written for a few. She also had a feature in Source magazine and has modelled for both brands and designers such as College Fashionista. And I do actually want to show you a little photo here from College Fashionista. Here she is, College Fashionista, just doing all that. According to her IMDb page, she did actually appear in a documentary that was about undecided voters in the 2008 US presidential election. If I remember correctly, was that Obama versus Mitt Romney? Was it Mitt Romney? George Bush? No, George Bush had just served 2 terms at that point, hadn't he? But she is currently the head of international retail marketing and expansion of Estee Lauder. Can you believe it? My goodness. So Kelly, if you're watching, I'd love to talk to you about consulting for the product development team. She's got a B-Tech. We love to see a professional, successful woman, also radiant. Oh, this lipstick is not holding up very well, is it? Oh, well. You win some, you die. Next, we have Cassie James. Cassie Girls. She had truly an unfortunate, off-putting storyline during this cycle. Her potential disordered eating was covered in some pretty intense moments, especially like Tyra brought in her mum to talk to her about it at some point. Not great, not a really good portrayal of like trying trying to help someone on a reality TV show at all. Felt quite a lot of emotions for Cassie. Her body image concerns were repeatedly brought up, and I remember Janice also saying something like, she looks 5 weeks pregnant. Why would you say that to someone you know is having disordered eating? I don't know. I just didn't get any of that whatsoever. She was even mocked by the other contestants because of potentially having disordered eating. Just rough the whole time, really. This led to quite an unfortunate edit on the show, and she was eliminated 7th for a lack of fierceness. But she did, however, say something deeply homophobic about J. Manuel in drag, so... Now, there isn't a lot about Cassie after the show available online. However, I do want to say that when I Googled her, there is an Instagram page that comes up called Cassandra Lee J. Now, I don't know if I'm just being utterly, butterly ridiculous here, but I can't actually tell if this is her or not. I don't know why. Like, it's been long enough time that this could be her, but also this person looks a little bit too young. Although you can never really trust anything on the internet full stop in photos because, like, filters, aging, all those sorts of things. I don't know. Is this her? Is this not her? What do we think? If that isn't her, there isn't a lot else about Cassie on the internet freely available. So, with that, my loves, it's on to some of the juicy bits now. Takara Jones, the plus-size model of Cycle 3. She, in fact, won 4 challenges on this cycle, so that is incredible, but she was eliminated 8th. So there was a situation that happened in the show with Takara. Do you remember that hateful stylist that, like, stuck her with a pin and Takara, like, screamed? And this woman had, like, a massive attitude with her because she didn't have anything on her clothing rail that would fit her, and she kind of blamed Takara for this. What a hideous woman. In an interesting turn of events, Takara has actually been voted by AOL, do you remember AOL? As one of the most memorable contestants in the show's history. Now, I have fond memories of AOL. I remember having to go to Asda every Friday and get a CD with AOL on it, and then you ended up with 50 hours free internet once you've installed it. Can you imagine? We used to have to install the internet to get 50 free hours of access.
Serve it up, bitch.
Dial up, girls. Takara has had such an illustrious career after the show, and she's been featured in so many different types of magazines, including Star Collection, King Magazine, which we can see here, rather busty woman on the go, Smooth Magazine, Essence Magazine, and many, 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 many more. Although I do actually want to say in quite a memorable piece here, she was featured in Vogue Italia's all-black issue and had a 14-page spread in that magazine. I can't find any of the actual, like, interview or anything that she did with them, but some of the photos are absolutely stungina. So this issue actually featured prominent black models in response to the blackout of black models, preventing them from getting hired for editorial and runway jobs. Her IMDb page is also quite extensive. She's had 13 credited roles in productions such as Three Ways, Thick House, Just a Friend, Hollywood Unlocked, and Supermodel. So she's, you know, she's doing well. And in her Instagram bio, she currently states that she is the world's first plus-size supermodel, which could very well be true. And if we take a quick look at her website, she has a range of, like, intimate clothing called Takara Intimate Apparel. And as we can see here, it's very busty woman, nice green, yes. So in the end, I think that hideous stylist back on the show can just suck an egg, can't she? Next, we have Nicole Borrard, who I famously named Nick Quabliers. Nicole was the first girl to be eliminated after they'd, like, taken their trip to Japan. And it was directly after the Campbell's Soup advert, if I remember correctly. We will cover the Japan controversy slightly later in the video, yes.
I am shocked and disgusted.
A little side note on this photo here. Gosh, all ANTM was absolutely scathing in the comments. Look, so to this gorgeous, lovely, casual photo of Nicole, Born NYC123 has just said, okay. Okay, yeah, sure, okay. Nicole was eliminated 9th on the show and had a particularly difficult time learning the lines during the Campbell's Soup advert. And also, if you remember correctly, I would often point out during the episodes that Nicole seemed like she was completely edited out. I was often just like, oh my god, there's Nicole, what's she gonna say this week? Oh, one sentence, there we go. So there is potentially a little bit of tea spilt about this. One of the theorized reasons why she was edited out of so many episodes is because she would constantly hum copyright music and the editors would be like, no, we can't put this in the show. And therefore, a lot of the conversations that she would have would be edited out of the show completely. Another theory that has been suggested is that she was absolutely not taking any nonsense from the producers. And therefore, they kind of had it in for her a little bit and were like, no, we're just gonna get rid of you. You're not doing as what we thought. No. Nicole is a really interesting case on a show like this because it is so interesting to see an entire person person and their conversations edited out of a show. But in a turnaround after the show, she didn't really pursue modeling. She did, in fact, pursue acting. Ha! Ha!
I'm acting.
Although her IMDb page does not in fact list her credited in any other roles except for her appearance on America's Next Top Model. Although her Instagram bio does in fact say that she is a voiceover actress, and aside from that, not much else is known about Nicole publicly. Eliminated in 10th place, we have Narelle Griffith, my lovelies. Narelle. So let's talk about Narelle. If we remember correctly, Narelle did in fact have braces during the first few weeks of this cycle, and she had them taken off during the makeover challenge, I think, didn't she? Which was kind of controversial because that's not her regular orthodontist, so was she ready? We'll never find out. We also saw Narelle struggle with some of the tasks in Japan, specifically when it came to memorizing some of the tea ceremony. It did seem kind of complicated with lots of steps, especially if someone who's never done that before would have to do. So, you know, my heart does go out to her. And she was eliminated from the T-Mobile advert photo shoot in the kimonos, if you can remember. That shoot did involve quite an unusual use of kimonos, I must say. Post-show, Narelle has had quite an incredible career, actually. She had multiple agencies in Asia representing her, and throughout Asia, particularly East Asia, she booked many, many, many advertising gigs, including Sisters Magazine, Yes Magazine, Sudden Weekly, and Goat Boutique.
What did you just say?
Does Goat Boutique actually sell goats? No. That does make me beg the question if earlier Hot Boat actually sells boats, do we think? Imagine just being like, oh yeah, I run a company, what's it called? Hot Boat.
I hate you. I'm going home.
According to Narelle's IMDb page, she has in fact appeared in one episode of a TV show called One on One, and of course has appeared on the infamous show now, The Tyra Banks Show. Controversial again, actually. But in a shocking turn of events, Narelle actually left the modeling industry to pursue study and education. Not much else is publicly known about Narelle. However, I have done some research and I managed to find a very interesting piece. Let me share this with you. I managed to find a customer review for a business called Lil Pinkies Up, which does include a photo of herself and her family, and it in fact reads, "The Griffith family. Alison's cooking classes have done wonders in our home, empowering my children to be more helpful and interested in the kitchen. Also more open-minded to what we are having for a meal. She has such a fun, creative way of making mealtime a fun time. I've noticed when my kids have helped pick and prepare a meal, they are way more open to trying new things. There is just something about food that brings people together. We love Lil Pinkies Up and will continue taking her classes. The Griffith family." Unfortunately, this customer review does not have a time stamp or a date stamp, so it's difficult to tell just how recent it is, but it is nice to see her looking really happy with her family. They've got all their feet out on the beach, you know, very controversial for the internet. And Branca, a controversial woman on the go, speculated on-off lesbian admirer of Eva, and was eliminated 11th from the show. Ultimately, just coming shy of top 3, placing 4th overall. What a roller coaster and storyline turned out to be, hey? We liked her, then she suddenly wasn't very likable, then she had an argument with Anne, and we didn't really like her very much, and she bullied Cassie a little bit, and we didn't like her very much, but then also Jay Manuel just decided he didn't like her anymore, and kept being like, "Anne, you're just awful, you're not giving us anything, give us face, Anne, where's the face? Face." And then Janice Dickinson decided to call her Anne the Man, so, you know, she had a very tough run on the show. Goodness me. Another side note about all NTM. I mean, like, look at this lovely photo. This was in the glamour retouch photos for the Nivea campaign in week 3? I did just say it earlier, but I've immediately forgotten. Look at this comment here. Look at this. What does this say? "Her face shows off her great beauty, but her hand placement looks as if she's choking herself." Thank you all, ANTM. Thank you. So, after the show, Anne did in fact have an extensive career. And she was also interviewed for Olvier Twist's YouTube channel about her experience. Spoiler alert, her and Eva did not really talk again after the show finished. No. Are we surprised? Not really. It did feel a little bit one-sided at certain points, I think. I Again, though, I think it's a really stressful environment to just suddenly be thrust into. So, of course, you're going to develop pretty strong bonds to people. But, I don't know, TV land is weird. So, she did, in fact, adopt the alias Annalena Marks. And that became her new, like, stage modeling name. And with this new name, she scored multiple agency contracts with Elite Model Management and MC2. She featured in a huge amount of campaigns, advertisements, and print work. And it's difficult to list them all, so I'm just going to name a few here. We have GQ Magazine, Accessories Magazine, Knit and Style, First Magazine, Fashion Washington, Eye Care Business, Manhattan Bride, In Style, Health Magazine, Marie Claire UK, Shape Magazine, The Oprah Magazine, I Am Water Polo, Charleston Magazine, Fitness Magazine, Women's Health, and Burt's Bears. Bees! I'm just bringing my pet beehive to the occasion. I think this is the most recent photo I can find, and it's for the John Frieda collection. She looks completely different now, doesn't she? But there we go. Sheer blondes, lustrous touch.
I don't like it when you touch me.
Her Instagram shows that she is positively thriving and also the founder of a company called Full Feedings, which aims to provide help for infant sleeping. Honestly, she's really one of the success stories of America's Next Top Model at this point, despite what Jay Manuel would say. But I mean, I did absolutely despise this photo. They did her so dirty. They didn't really need to do her all like this, did they? Like, one awful photo. Awful. After Anne, we have Amanda, girls! Amanda Swafford. So, Amanda did in fact have quite a storyline throughout this entire cycle, which kind of centered around her blindness. And it was quite shocking to see that she was often put in environments which that was not safeguarded or helped in any way. I know it was the early 2000s, but like, come on, additional support would have been very welcomed, and it could have been a very educational moment for viewers across the world. At the time of filming, Amanda also had a young child at home, and it was during the show that it kind of became apparent that she felt very, like, almost tormented about being away from her child for so long. I mean, you do literally get, like, sequestered from the world, living with brand new people, stressful environment. Of course you're gonna miss your family, and if you have children, I imagine it's even more intense. Amanda and Eve did, in fact, also have some pretty intense disagreements. And I also think Anne... There was a situation with Anne at one point as well, I'm pretty sure. Anne and Eva were both placed in the bottom two for the CoverGirl photo shoot, but I remember the storyline of the CoverGirl photo shoot being like, nobody really did bad at all, everyone looks great. Ultimately, Eva went through and Amanda placed third, being eliminated 12th. So, after the show, Amanda actually also had a glittering career, featuring in lots of knitting magazines, oddly enough. I mean, let's just have a look, shall we? We've got Simple Faux Lace with an all-over pattern, In Felt It, Stitch It Fabulous, and Lacy Little Knits. Here she is being knitted from head to toe. She was also signed with Storm Model Management and Acclaim Talent. However, I can't see if she's still signed with these agencies. But from 2016, she did work as an aesthetic guru for the brand Royal Peasantry. Peasants. And also in 2016, it was stated by a close friend that her retinitis pigmentosa had caused extreme difficulty to see in low lighting, which was apparently in contrast to rumors spreading at the time that she had gone completely blind. She was also interviewed by Olvier Twixt over on his YouTube channel. In fact, a lot of the cycle were, as I mentioned earlier. I do recommend checking them out for like extracurricular activity if you would like. I must say though, on her Instagram, as of like early 2023, she has electric pink hair and is kind of giving this sort of like Annie Lennox vibe. Still, her eyes so piercing. Okay, my lovelies, are you ready to start discussing what happened to the top two after the show?
Yes.
In second place, we have YaYa Dacosta. YaYa was treated very interestingly throughout this season as well. I do feel a lot of the girls were treated very interestingly throughout this season. YaYa was kind of painted as this like vaguely arrogant, I don't care kind of villain, especially towards the later half of the cycle, which I don't think was entirely justified, but of course, the edit's gonna edit and TV is gonna TV. The judges did in fact also like comment on her skin texture quite a lot throughout this show, and I remember making a comment that was like, you can't fix skin texture in like 6 weeks, like it takes a little while for things to kick in, so I didn't really feel like it was fair for every few days and being like, but your skin, YaYa, your skin. She did actually also also clapped back at the judges a few times, and I think she was correct because the judges did need to be checked a few times. Just saying.
Oh, scandalous.
After the show, YaYa did in fact have an illustrious career also, and that was across multiple different types of entertainment. For example, did you know that she was in Kanye West's music video for Gold Digger? Because I didn't. Her IMDb page lists 37 credited roles, some of which are The Lincoln Lawyer, Chicago Med, The Simpsons, The Nika Guys, and The Butler. The Simpsons. She's literally been on The Simpsons. Icon behavior. And she has also modeled for Tom Ford, Olay, Interview Magazine, Essence Magazine, Vibe, Glamour, and Sephora, my loves, just to name a few. If you choose to go over and check her out over on Instagram, she has almost 500,000 followers and shows no sign of letting up her career after the show. Definitely one of the most memorable and successful alumni of ANTM. So, my lovelies, are you ready to talk about our winner, America's Next Top Model 2004? Was it 2004? Maybe 2005, 2004? Eva Marcille, $100,000 richer and also a cover girl model. She won, girls, she won. She stepped into the America's Next Top Model studio with a pixie cut, a pussy nose, and a dream, and she won. During the cycle, she had many heated moments, lots of lost tempers with the other contestants as well. And also there was a rumor that Revlon had in fact pre-selected her to win the entire cycle. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to substantiate that claim at all. I cannot find any information that Revlon actually did this, or even any real rumors that Revlon had actually did this. If anyone knows in the comments, please share, because I'm very interested and I can't find out where this rumor started. After the show, Eva did in fact have quite an illustrious career that still continues to this day. She found huge success as an industry model across runway, commercial, and editorial for the likes of Sheen Magazine, Obvious Magazine, Urban Luxe, Vixen, Elle Girl, and Women's Health, to name a few. Most notably, however, she started acting in 2008 when she joined the cast of The Young and the Restless. Gosh, do you remember that? My nan. Obsessed. Her IMDb page is also extensive, with multiple appearances on other reality TV shows such as Sisters, Hello, The Queen's Men, and BET Her presents The Waiting Room. I will, however, say that most notably, she's now a recurring TV star in a Real Housewives series, specifically The Real Housewives of Atlanta, and also, is there like an All-Stars version? There is, isn't there? Ultimate Girls Trip. The Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip.
Well, honey,
Welcome to Atlanta.
So, last time I saw you,
Yeah.
I feel like it was in LA.
Turning up.
Most likely turning up.
Eva's having contractions. Did we call Dr. Jackie?
Yeah, Eva, get to the hospital.
She said she don't want to go to the hospital.
To come to the wedding,
I have.
his family is the majority of the guest list.
I know.
There are 150 people coming. My part is 40 people, and that includes all close, immediate family and friends.
Well, I have a problem with that.
Why?
Because there's a few more I want to invite.
Darling, you may have been on the runway since you was 5, but I have carried everything into my closet
older than
from
me,
you.
'cause you're
Exactly,
42,
and fabulous.
Marlo.
And everything
As
that
you
you
should
wore
have.
on the
You're my
runway
older.
is in my
Girl,
closet,
I had
darling.
enough
I didn't have
cocktails
to
in me,
pull
not
it,
too many
and I didn't have to
teens.
borrow it.
This is what I own.
And
This
you
is what
got
I
been nothing
own.
on the runway now.
This is what and you felt it when? Never.
She currently has a whopping 5.2 million followers over on Instagram, and that just goes to show that America's Next Top Model did in fact launch her career into the stratosphere, girls.
I'm a professional woman.
And that is it for the contestants of America's Next Top Model Cycle 3, my lovelies. I do want to say, if you decide to go over and follow or request to follow any of the contestants that I've talked about today, please do not harass them. Don't leave any negative comments or anything. Like, this show did air 20 years ago. And I think it's, you know, like good friendly behavior to let people disappear from public life if they choose to, shall we say. But in saying that, my loves, I have some tea to spill for you about the trip to Japan. The international modeling trip in Cycle 3 was to Japan. And apparently one of the reasons why we ended up having a Campbell's soup advert was all very last minute and wouldn't actually have been the challenge that was meant to happen during that week. So, shall I tell you about the Japan drama? I couldn't believe this when I learnt this. Absolutely salacious juice. Lots of people actually mentioned this in the comments of that video as well. I've got a bit of a paraphrase here that I'm going to read for you word to word because apparently it was covered by like E, the True Hollywood Story. They did like an expose show on what really happens behind the scenes of cycle 3 of America's Next Top Model. Unfortunately, this like video or this show or this like stream is nowhere to be found now. You just cannot find it anymore. So I'm pretty much in the dark about this, but let's read together, shall we, my lovelies? Okay, so this comment in the ANTM Reddit is by Roasted Peanuts, which I'm not going to be able to say on YouTube, am I? No, instantly demonetized. Apparently, the show mentioned that Ken Mock, one of the executive producers on America's Next Top Model, almost got fired because the production of Cycle 3 fell days and days behind when the show relocated to Tokyo. Because when the 6 girls left in the competition, went through customs at Narita Airport, they were confused by the questions asked by immigration, which is actually quite like an easy thing to do, especially if you haven't traveled before, such as whether them entering Japan was for business or for pleasure. Japanese customs found that their answers didn't line up and thought the models might have been sex workers being trafficked by the sex trade. Can you believe it? Can you believe that? Wild. Where was any of the production team at this moment? Why is this not like formally organized with like security boards beforehand? So all of the girls were put in holding cells and denied access to the country. Finally, after days of confusion and help from the network or embassy, the girls left Japan and flew to Guam in the US, right? So they've gone all the way to Japan, been held at security, practically deported, flown back to the US with the hope that they could fly right back to Tokyo and enter the country properly. This plan did in fact work, but the girls were very embarrassed and angry at production. I mean, I would be too. While production lost tens of thousands of dollars, if not millions, by moving back the entire filming schedule. Can you imagine? I know that, like, sometimes problems happen, you know, sometimes things are overlooked, sometimes situations just happen and you have to make do. This is such a huge fumble, such a huge blunder by the network and by, like, production team that I just cannot imagine this ever happening. And I don't think it would even happen now. If it did, social media would absolutely pop off with the coverage. Does in fact just go to show that sometimes people want to cut corners. Like, they obviously didn't have the right visas. They obviously didn't brief the contestants on what they were meant to say whilst going through security. But also how incredibly stressful. You're part of a TV show. You're like promised this beautiful trip to Japan and then like put in a holding cell, interviewed and deported. Like, crazy, absolutely wild. Well, my lovelies, that concludes the America's Next Top Model Cycle 3. Where are they now? What happened afterwards? If you guys know any more juicy bits that you think that I have missed or that you think will supplement any of the information that I've shared in this video, please feel free to leave them in the comments box below because I'm always excited. These videos do take me a little bit of research to like pull together and come together. And while I would call myself quite proficient in TV world when you are studying people, you're always going to miss something. Well, my lovelies, with that, it's time for the Patreons. You can see yourself scrolling past on the screen here. Yes, you can. Thank you guys so much for providing extra support over on the Patreon. It does, in fact, enable this channel to thrive and survive. Today's Instagram shout out goes to Mary Siloon. Thank you so much for following me over on Instagram. You stunning woman on the go. And if you want to be in with a chance of being featured in my next videos, Instagram shout out, my lovelies. Make sure you go and follow me over on Instagram. I post my fashion and travel content over there. As always, I want to say a massive thank you to my top tier Patreons. Alex Ewart Official, Orko Samoji, Ari Adia X, Becky Johnson, Beebles32, Cameron Pittman, Shell Herman, Christina Kyle, ContraPoints, Elizabeth Stone, Emily Worsham, Eric Castillo, Finch Dunham, Hannah Ruth, Jen Martin, Caitlin Wright, Larissa Says Relax, Leanne Jones, Les Banana, Min Min TM, Mariah Sherman, Miss Kiss, Novembrix, Paula Rivera, Ryan Loves Rory, Steph Utek, Taylor Martin, and Vicky Walsh. And you know what, my lovelies? I think I'm gonna leave on the notes of, if you want to go onto reality TV, always remember that you're gonna be edited in a certain way to fit their narrative. So either you can go along with that or you can cause problems for production and make excellent TV that I might react to in 20 years' time. And with that, my loves, I will see you in the next one. Yes.